Hello everyone, this is Chris, and don't mind me, I'm just hanging out around my very completed and very finished castle right here, which still looks just as majestic and just as beautiful as we left it last time. But the only problem with the castle is that it is slightly defying gravity by kind of floating a bit off the ground somehow. And let's try and fix this a little bit. Let's see if we can fix this little defiance of gravity right here. And looking at this, I've noticed that we're gonna need a lot of dirt. We're going to need so much dirt to fill in this entire thing. Back down to these tiny little caves we go. And I think I mentioned this like 12 dozen times or something by now, but this is definitely going to be one of the last times I'm inside one of these caves. Like I've said this before when we thought they were coming out much sooner, but yeah, now that Caves and Cliffs is coming out very soon, I feel like this is probably one of the last times. And if I'm wrong, then I'm gonna shoot myself in the head with an arrow. Or a skeleton can do it. We're having a party down here with all these mobs around the place. And no one decided to invite me. What the heck, guys? Oh, hello, Abandoned Mineshaft and Spider. Are you gonna invite me to this party? What about you guys down here? Do you guys accept invitations? It doesn't matter anyway. You're all dead anyways. Ooh, but I will take your party food, though. You know, these things really should have been called glow glitchins with the way they're floating like this. This might be enough for a few slices of the mountain, but certainly not enough for the entire thing. But oh well, I'm sure we could still put this dirt we have to good use. You know, there's something satisfying about a big terraforming project. I mean, it's literally just placing hundreds and hundreds of blocks of dirt, but I don't know, there's just some peace and tranquility of doing it. And of course some fun, because we are going to need a lot of fun to do all of this. And I wonder if this will be even more fun if we sped up the process. You know what, we might as well try at least, and while we do try, I want to talk about 1.18, and I'm not trying to hide anything, but the fact is, when 1.18 releases, is when this season of Cosmic ends and when the next season of Cosmic begins. And that's why I've been putting so much focus into some of my existing projects right now, trying to get them as completed as possible. And also, we've been really trying to convince the owner of the realm, it's Palmer, to try and get a world download. And if you're interested in a world download too, then leave it down below in the comments and say something nice. Don't say anything too mean or anything like that. We want to get the message across to Palmer. We want to get it across nicely and kindly to get this world download for Cosmic Chapter 2 Season 3. This might not seem like much, but this was 6 hours of work put into this one tiny little sliver and this big sliver right here. And you can see we are kind of a little bit short in dirt right here, which is why we didn't fill in the entire thing right here, but still you get the general idea as to what I was going with. And I'm really trying to have it, I guess, sort of lean across the entire mountain, sort of like it was dug into the hill rather than it being like plonked right on top of it. And I think it kind of gets that point across right here. But yeah, you might have noticed in the time lapse that I did have to do even more dirt grinding. That's mainly because this uses so much dirt, and while I do want to work on this more eventually, maybe in this episode, I do want to work a little bit more on, lower down here on this one little river down here. And the idea for this thing is it's going to go all the way down here and link up to this one huge waterfall where there's going to be maybe a small little lake down here. That way it all connects up to one seamless and faultless little place right here, which is also why I managed to save all of this dirt for this one little bit right here. I was getting very comfortable with my mountain placement, but now that I have to work with like a little river placement right here, it's like a whole different ball game. It's like an American football player playing the British version of football. Like, in hindsight, it kind of sounds like the same and looks sort of similar, but in hindsight, it's a completely different area of expertise you need here. Is this how rivers usually flow? I think something like this. I think rivers flow something along these lines. You know what? Thinking something is right is at least better than knowing it's absolutely wrong. So that must mean we're going in the right direction then. Hey, I did it. One full river, stream, whatever you want to call it, going all the way down to ground level. And even without the other bits of terrain, actually doesn't look too bad. Though I will say the ride heading downstream is a little bit, rougher than usual. But before we start flooding this entire stream down here, let's actually dig out this little lake area we're gonna have down the bottom. I'm gonna stop the flow of water from up here just for now because it's gonna be an absolute nightmare to work around it if it is flowing. This is taking a lot longer than I thought. You know what? Screw it. Let's just start digging in, then we can worry about the rest of that water disintegrating or disappearing later. And I am very well aware that water does not disintegrate, but rather evaporates. I mean, I hope I do. Hopefully science and physics haven't been lying to me for years and water actually does evaporate. And with that, time to find a bed. Seriously, there's been like 15 rainstorms and thunderstorms since the last episode, and every single time, almost every time I'm around my base, it always hits my base. I have a feeling Mother Nature is kind of out for all the things I am working on that is made out of wood, because what are the odds, honestly? What are the odds that lightning can hit your base like 4 or 5 times? I think this will be roughly a good size for this lake. And don't worry, it won't be completely square by the time it's over with. It's just going to be square for now while we are working on it. Also, I'm not planning on having this be the deepest lake in the world because that would take so much digging, but I do want it to be at least 1 or 2 blocks down. What is Evelyn doing? This is kind of confusing right here. Do you want me to pick it up for me? Hold on a second. Hold on a second. For me? Okay. Okay, for me. A lot. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. Okay. Why does she have so many shulker boxes? Why does she have so many shulker boxes? Like, and a half-decent sword with a half-decent hoe. And look at all this stuff. Look at all... What have you... I'm honestly lost for words right here. Like, I really don't know what to say. Like, Evelyn hasn't been playing too much this season right now because of school and stuff. But, yeah, I think she's just gifted me everything she owns right here. And I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with this right now, but, I guess, thank you. Thank you. I will have to somehow return you in the next season when you do return. I think the main problem now is that all this stuff is, like, kind of in the way with all the digging I'm going to have to do. Like, I certainly appreciated Evelyn, but could we have done it maybe just a little bit over this way? But in all seriousness, thank you, Evelyn. Thank you for all the things you've collected over this season. Anyways, back to digging. I've taken out one of these layers so far, and I'm getting pretty bored. Just swinging my shovel back and forth. You know, at least with all this training, it got me thinking a lot. With this, it's just swinging my shovel back and forth until I layer everything down low enough. And honestly, if this wasn't a lake, if this was just like a really big hole in the ground, I would totally use like TNT or something like that. But because it is pretty precise and things like that, I have to be pretty precise in my digging. Fortunately, only about several hours of work, or so it feels like it. We managed to dig out everything we needed to dig out and actually smooth out some of the edges, and it still does look a little bit square, but for the most part, it's pretty unnoticeable. Apart from this one little straight bit, which I left there because we need to connect the terrain from up here going all the way down there. But it's pretty obvious right now that this does not look like a lake bed and more just like some terraining that's been done. Well, there's really only one way in fixing that. And you know, this part is still fairly tedious, but it's at least pretty satisfying. I mean, just look at this. I place this water bucket there and just look at that. That's just... Oh, I could watch something like that all day. Or about 5 minutes, as that's how long it took this one to fill up. But now on to the slightly bigger layer right here. And when I see a lot of people filling in a whole bunch of, I guess, terrain or a whole bunch of water, what they usually do is they fill up an entire, I guess, layer of dirt or just some other block, fill up with one layer of water, and then they just completely remove it. Well, there's really no need on doing that because water counts kind of as like a full block right here. So if I place water here, then it will count as a full block when it actually fills up. And I'll prove it right here. So let's get some water over here. Let's place it over here. Okay, maybe a few more buckets around here. There we go. And as we see, it fills up over the, that one little layer we have right there. At least, I thought that's how it works. I'm sure it'll sort itself out when we're done. There we go. You can see it's actually filling up over this existing layer we had. And if I see anyone else using the old tactic of filling in an entire layer and then filling in the water, I'm going to be fairly disappointed. Or just shrug it off. Everyone has their own, I guess, water filling methods, and I guess I feel like mine is just a little bit more effective than others. Now that we have all the water in place, what does it actually look like now? Like a big pond of water right here. And I guess we better get this one little stream actually flooded up too. But I wonder, what if I just break the cobblestone? Will that actually be enough to flood this entire thing? Well, there's only one way to find out. And no, not exactly. Oh well, it shouldn't take too incredibly long to fill in this entire stream. Well, it certainly was more of a 20-minute job rather than like a 5-minute job, but at least we managed to get it done. And actually, even without all the terraining we still have to work on, it still looks really good right here. It looks like one of those slides you find at one of those water parks right here, just at this point right now. It looks like one of those water slides just slide all the way down here. But I don't quite imagine those water slides being made out of dirt, necessarily. So let's use all this dirt we actually managed to get from digging this entire area out and actually work on filling in more of these areas. Wait, and how's there a tree here? When did this happen? Is this a mangrove tree just disguised as an oak tree or something like that? Anyways, let's get to work. And I wasn't planning on recording any voiceover for this time-lapse, but something so stupid happened during it, because in between the last clip and this clip, I did a Java Seed showcase, and for OBS, what you have to do is pretty much a switch from recording one thing to another, at least the way I do it, and I completely forgot to switch back from Java to Bedrock, so for 2 hours, I was just recording a blank screen, and this is all the footage I got right here, so yeah, just a little tip, and like, maybe just double check some things in case you are planning on doing YouTube or just anything in general, just to double check things every now and then. So even though we didn't film the full time-lapse of building this whole thing, the end product still looks absolutely phenomenal. Have a look at this. This is like so much work and so little time, and it's just, can you tell I love massive training things like this? What I did up here actually is I let some of the water flow in the edges just so I know where it goes all the way down, because right down at the bottom I do want it to be just a little bit flat surfaced on this one dirt wall right here. And also at the very top it looked a little bit strange in it being just completely like one singular layer. So what I actually did was I actually put a whole bunch of stairs and a whole bunch of, I guess, support, or what looks like support right here, just so it doesn't look quite as strange. But now let's get all these waterfalls completely flowing again and then have a look again. And yep, it's still just as beautiful as what I would imagine it being. But looking at the whole thing as a whole, it's nice and all, but it's a little bit dull around the edges. And this one little tree in the very center gave me an idea in that, what if we had like bamboo or just a little bit of foliage inside of the water? Maybe mainly around the outside of it, but still at least a little bit of it. And I kind of think we should do something similar to what we did up here and having all these azalea trees and having some moss and some bamboo around the place. That way there could be at least a little bit of consistency here and there with this terraining and things like that. Oh, wait a minute. I could have sworn you were able to place bamboo down here, but you can't. You can't waterlog bamboo. Well, that just throws a little spanner in the works and in the plans. Alright, we'll just have the bamboo, I guess, next to the water rather than in it. But you know, azalea trees, they have to be like right next to the water. Like, why would it? But of course, azalea trees, they of course have to be next to the water rather than straight in it. Like, how crazy would it have been if they actually were inside the water? Those who keep up with betas and snapshots know exactly what I'm talking about, and everyone else is just completely confused as to what I'm going on about. Which, you know, I'm totally okay with. I'm totally okay with keeping certain people in the dark sometimes. Would it look good if we had some moss in the water? Because moss normally is... Oh, you can't waterlog it in here either? Come on, Minecraft. Come on, this makes too much sense for it to happen, but it's literally not happening. But having the little azalea saplings actually in the water might actually be a pretty good idea. You know what? That doesn't look too bad. Actually, why didn't I think of this before? There's a much better thing I could put in the water. I mean, come on, lily pads are made for shallow waters like these. And then maybe just a little bit of leaf action and a little bit more moss action. And I think now the majority of this little area down here is fairly complete. And if we fly away and fly back as we traditionally do. And yeah, unfortunately we need to be pretty close in order to see all the details and stuff, as we could see like from right here. But if we get close enough, we can see like there is lots and lots of things to look at, lots and lots of life. And yeah, I guess just the best way to describe this little area now is that it feels much more alive now and much more fluent and other natural type words. And we still have so much more training work we're going to have to do before the end of the season, which, you know what? I think it's possible. I think if we really try and really put in some time, and it's certainly possible. But yeah, for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.